Hello and welcome back to Reading with Beck. I'm Beck Tillman and I'm so glad you're here with me today. This is my first time recording my voice and I hope it's not that bad. This is a podcast where we dive deep into books that touch our hearts, challenge our perspectives, and stay with us long after we turn the final page. We don't just review books here, we experience them together. Today, I'm incredibly excited to talk about The Lantern of Lost Memories by Sanaka Hiiragi. This is a Japanese novel that's been making waves in the world of what's called comfort fiction, a genre that's becoming increasingly popular, especially as we all seek stories that offer both emotional depth and a sense of peace in uncertain times. I chose this book as my first book to review for a somewhat unexpected reason. I actually first saw it reviewed on Instagram and honestly, I scrolled right past it. It didn't grab me. But life has a funny way of bringing books back to us when we need them most. When I finally had the chance to pick it up, I couldn't put it down. And I think that journey from indifference to deep connection is something worth exploring today. So grab your favorite drink, get comfortable, and let's talk about memories, mortality, and the photographs we carry in our hearts. Let's start with the basics. The Lantern of Lost Memories is written by Sanaka Hiiragi, a Japanese author, and this English edition has been beautifully translated by Jesse Kirkwood. The book was originally published in Japan and has recently found its way to international audiences, riding the wave of Japanese literature's growing popularity worldwide. Now, genre-wise, this falls into what we call magical realism or Japanese comfort fiction. It's literary fiction with fantastical elements, but grounded in very real, very human emotions. Here's the spoiler-free synopsis. Imagine that when you die, you don't immediately move on to whatever comes next. Instead, you find yourself at a mysterious photography studio run by a man named Mr. Hirasaka. In this liminal space between life and death, you're given an extraordinary gift. You can review the key moments of your life and more importantly, you can choose one single memory to relive. But here's the twist, you can also travel back in time to take a photograph of that moment, capturing it forever before you pass into the afterlife. The book is structured in 3 chapters, each following different souls who arrive at this studio. Through their stories, we explore what memories we hold most dear, what regrets haunt us, and what it truly means to have lived a complete life. It's a slim volume, you could easily read it in one sitting, but don't let its brevity fool you. This book packs an emotional punch that will stay with you long after you finish. So let me tell you about my actual experience reading this book because it was unexpected. As I mentioned, I first encountered this on Instagram. You know how the algorithm works, book reviews pop up, beautiful covers, enthusiastic captions. But for some reason, The Lantern of Lost Memories didn't click for me in that moment. I think I might have been oversaturated with book recommendations, or maybe the timing just wasn't right. Then, by chance, I found myself with an opportunity to actually get a copy. And I thought, why not? Sometimes the best reading experiences come from books we stumble into rather than books we chase. From the very first pages, I was struck by how gentle the prose felt. Hiiragi's writing, through Kirkwood's translation, has this quality of being both simple and profound. There's no unnecessary flourish, no showing off, just clean, clear storytelling that allows the emotional weight to shine through. The pacing is interesting because each chapter is essentially its own complete story. You could almost read them as standalone tales, but there's a cumulative effect that builds as you move through the book. The first chapter immediately had me tearing up. I wasn't expecting that. The emotion just crept up on me, and suddenly I found myself deeply invested in a character I'd only just met. But it was the second chapter where I truly fell in love with this book. There's this side character called Mouse, and I don't want to spoil too much here, but the way Hiiragi portrays his grief, his loyalty, and the pain of losing someone important. It devastated me in the best possible way. I felt frustrated, heartbroken, and completely absorbed. That's when I knew this book had gotten under my skin. What really worked for me was the concept itself. The idea of an afterlife structured around choosing and reliving your most precious memory felt deeply calming to me. In a world where death is often portrayed as terrifying or uncertain, Hiiragi offers this vision of completion. Every character gets their moment. Every life, no matter how difficult or tragic, has something worth celebrating and preserving. The book is incredibly easy to digest. The story is clear, the character development is well crafted despite the brevity, and each chapter builds its emotional arc perfectly. My recommendation? Read one chapter at a time as a complete unit. Don't rush. Let each story breathe. Feel the emotions fully before moving to the next one. That's how you'll get the full experience. Alright, now let's get into the heart of what makes this book special. And I want to be clear, I'm going to keep this mostly spoiler-free, but I'll signal if we're venturing into specific plot details. At the core of this novel is a beautiful metaphor about memory and impermanence. Hiiragi introduces this idea that our most cherished memories, the ones we replay over and over in our minds, begin to fade like old photographs exposed to too much light. They need to be recaptured, refreshed, relived. This resonated with me so deeply. Think about your own life. The memories you return to most often, maybe a moment with a parent, a first love, a perfect day, don't they start to feel a bit worn? The details blur. You're not sure anymore what was real and what you've reconstructed through repeated remembering. The photography studio becomes a metaphor for this human need to preserve what matters. In the afterlife Hiiragi creates, you get one chance to go back and truly see that moment again, to photograph it with perfect clarity. It's both a gift and an acknowledgement of loss. You're preserving something because you're about to let it go forever. Each chapter presents a different character arriving at the studio, and each one raises the question, what memory would you choose? What single moment defines you? What struck me was how Hiiragi shows us that completeness doesn't mean perfection. Some characters choose painful memories. Some choose moments that seem small or insignificant to outsiders. But that's the point, the value of a memory isn't universal. It's deeply, profoundly personal. I felt that each character, despite their struggles, their regrets, their tragedies, achieved a sense of wholeness by the end of their chapter. They weren't fixed or redeemed in some dramatic way. They were simply acknowledged, given space to honor what mattered to them. I have to talk more specifically about the second chapter because it affected me so powerfully. The character known as Mouse is a side character in his own story, and that's intentional. His narrative is about being secondary, about living in someone else's shadow, and about how the death of someone we look up to can shatter our entire world. What frustrated me in the best way was how Hiiragi portrayed the unfairness of it all. Mouse's pain felt so real, so raw. His loyalty and grief made me genuinely angry at the circumstances, which is exactly what good writing should do. It should make you feel deeply and uncomfortably. The way this chapter explores how death ripples outward, affecting not just the person who died but everyone in their orbit, is masterful. It's a reminder that every life touches countless others in ways we might never fully comprehend. Let's talk about the fantastical elements. Some readers might approach this book skeptically. After all, a magical photography studio in the afterlife isn't exactly grounded in reality. But here's the thing, Hiiragi isn't asking you to believe in the literal truth of this concept. The magical realism serves the emotional truth of the story. It's a framework that allows the author to explore grief, memory, and mortality in a way that feels both safe and profound. I went into this expecting fiction, expecting the unreal, and because Hiiragi establishes the rules of this world so clearly and consistently, it all made sense within the story's internal logic. The magic doesn't feel arbitrary or convenient, it feels purposeful. The three-chapter structure is both a strength and, as I'll discuss later, a slight weakness. Each chapter is beautifully self-contained. You get a complete emotional arc, a fully realized character, and a sense of closure. This makes the book incredibly readable. You can consume it in one sitting, or you can savor each chapter separately. The pacing is smooth. Hiiragi doesn't rush. There's a gentleness to the storytelling that matches the book's themes. We're dealing with the end of life, with final moments, and the prose reflects that contemplative, unhurried quality. Ultimately, The Lantern of Lost Memories is asking you, the reader, a question. What memory would you choose? If you had one moment to preserve forever, what would it be? And that's a question that will follow you long after you close the book. If you enjoyed The Lantern of Lost Memories, let me point you towards some similar reads that might resonate with you. First, this book fits perfectly within the growing genre of Japanese comfort fiction. If you haven't explored this genre yet, you're in for a treat. Other notable titles include Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi, which similarly deals with time travel and precious moments, and The Kamogawa Food Detectives by Hisashi Kashiway, which has that same gentle, restorative quality. There's something about contemporary Japanese literature that offers this unique blend of magical realism and emotional depth. Authors like Yoko Ogawa, Banana Yoshimoto, and Mieko Kawakami are all exploring human connection, loss, and memory in ways that feel both culturally specific and universally relatable. If we broaden out a bit, readers who enjoy books about the afterlife and memory might also love The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V. Schwab, though that's much longer and more sweeping in scope. Or The Midnight Library by Matt Haig, which similarly explores life choices and alternate paths. In terms of Sanaka Hiiragi's other work, I'll be honest, I'm not deeply familiar with their broader catalog yet, but this book has definitely made me want to seek out more. The emotional intelligence and craft on display here suggest an author worth following. What sets The Lantern of Lost Memories apart from these comparisons is its brevity and its gentleness. This isn't a book trying to shock you or surprise you with plot twists. It's simply inviting you to sit with some profound questions about what makes life meaningful. So let's wrap this up. Where do I land on The Lantern of Lost Memories? I'm giving this book a 7 out of 10. Here's why. The stories within this book are genuinely heartwarming and emotionally powerful. I teared up during the first chapter. I felt frustrated and moved by the second chapter. Hiiragi has created something special here, a meditation on mortality that feels comforting rather than frightening. The writing is beautiful, the concept is compelling, and the emotional resonance is undeniable. It's a book that will stay with you, that will make you think about your own precious memories and what you'd preserve if given the chance. But, and this is why it's not a higher rating for me, the ending left me wanting more. The third chapter, while providing closure, felt somewhat abrupt. I found myself wishing Hiiragi had expanded the world just a bit more, given us one or two more stories, deepened the exploration of Mr. Hirasaka himself. The book's brevity is both its strength and its limitation. It's impactful precisely because it's concise, but it also feels like there's so much more potential in this concept that wasn't fully explored. You should read this book. I'd recommend The Lantern of Lost Memories to anyone who enjoys Japanese literature or wants an entry point into the genre, appreciates gentle, contemplative fiction that deals with heavy themes, is looking for a book about grief and loss that feels healing rather than devastating, wants something they can read in an afternoon but will think about for weeks, enjoys magical realism that serves emotional truth, who might not connect with it. If you prefer plot-driven, fast-paced novels with lots of action, this probably isn't for you. If you need extensive world-building and explanations for magical elements, you might find it frustrating. And if you're looking for a longer, more immersive read, the brevity might leave you unsatisfied. But for me, despite my wish for more, this book gave me exactly what I needed when I read it. A reminder that life is made up of moments worth preserving, that grief is a testament to love, and that every story deserves to be honored. I'm currently diving into Welcome to Hyunamdong Bookshop by Hwang Bo-ryeom, and I'm really excited to share my thoughts on that with you in the next episode. Thank you so much for joining me today on Reading with Beck first episode. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider to like, subscribe, comment, or anything. I'd love to hear from you. Have you read The Lantern of Lost Memories? What memory would you choose if you visited Mr. Hirasaka's studio? Your thoughts and conversations make this podcast so much richer. Until next time, keep reading, keep feeling, and remember, every moment is worth preserving. In the meantime, I will continue my daily poems writing on Instagram or playing my GBA. This is Beck Tillman and I'll see you in the next episode.